Welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast that's all about real conversations for real transformation. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, professional speaker, MC, and best-selling international author. Here, we tackle the tough stuff, the mud that we all have found ourselves in. We talk about the pivots, the challenges, and the victories that shape our lives and our businesses. From overcoming trauma and finding your voice to navigating life's unexpected twists, we get raw, honest, and open. You'll hear from inspiring guests who share their stories of resilience, healing, and growth. Whether it's breaking through emotional abuse, embracing self-worth, or thriving in entrepreneurship, you'll find connection, empowerment, and the tools to keep you moving forward. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for stories that hit home and conversations that make a difference. Let's get real together. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I'm so excited to have you here with me today, and oh my goodness, by the time this episode goes live, I just realized that we are in quarter 2 of 2026. What? Okay, that's just amazing to me that I feel like April kind of like flew by. So I am super excited to continue bringing you guys some things. I know in Q1 we had a lot of self-discovery and presence and bringing our energy back. I feel like that's kind of been a theme this year. So I hope that you've taken the time to reflect on your Q1 to look at what you want to change and shift moving forward into 2026. Don't worry, you've got plenty of time to change, make decisions, and do and be who it is that you want to. So I'm so excited to bring Kisha to the episode today. So Kisha, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you, Kat, for having me. It is an honor. I'm super excited to dive in and chat and vibe and do all the good things with you today.
Oh my goodness, we are going to have so much fun. I always love it when I have really great pre-calls with people and like we can't stop talking to each other because I'm like, oh, this episode is going to be fire. So, so to everybody listening, boy, make sure you got your pencils, your paper out, your notes, whatever it is, because there's going to be some golden nuggets here today. So as we jump into everything, you should do us a favor then. Tell us, everybody, who you are and what it is that you do.
Absolutely. So I am the founder of Upgraded MindsetZ, and I also have a second business called UPM Business Suites. With Upgraded MindsetZ, I am a award-winning life and business coach, and I really work with women to help them align, activate, and elevate their personal, professional, and entrepreneurial purpose. A lot of times as women, we will just kind of put ourselves last, don't worry about self-prioritization, but yet we're stressed, they're anxiety-filled, and all those things, and we wish we could be living satisfying and fulfilled lives. So I really work with us to help us be supportive to others, but just not at the expense of ourselves. I am a podcaster, motivational speaker, and then I have my second business, which is UPM Business Suites, and it is a hub of amazing women business owners as myself and 6 other women, and we provide a variety of different services from the coaching to consulting to financial planning, life health insurance, esthetician services, print scaling, DTF sublimation. We are a one-stop business hub. I am team woman. If it doesn't come across already, I am all about empowering us, uplifting us, and helping us become the most empowering versions of ourselves. And whatever I can do to make that happen, you will catch me making that happen. So I am just super excited to be here with you today, Kat.
Oh my goodness. I love this so much. And team woman all the way. I love that you are so fulfilled in lifting other women up.
Yes.
I talk a lot about men and women and I love my guys as well. So there's nothing against you guys at all, but
Absolutely.
we are seeing a shift where because women do tend to, and I know some guys that do as well, but we tend to be the nurturing one. We tend to be the one that puts everyone first, that we put ourselves last. We feel bad for doing things that are just self-care, like taking a bubble bath, right? I
Yes.
mean, I had a hard time with that for a really long time. So I'm
I
totally in that
struggle
category.
definitely. People pleaser
Absolutely.
up until 2020 for
Mhm.
me. And I do, and I love to, because I also work with men as well. The thing is, like, I know that as someone who used to just lack that self prioritization, it also came across within my relationships, right? So,
Mm.
and even with my significant other now, because I have walked the journey of transformation and healing and all of those good things, it has benefited our relationship. So he's happy with it, you know. So men, don't feel like that I'm not thinking about y'all, because one thing that I definitely want to say, that as a woman that empowers other women, I also am big on holding us accountable. So that is also to your benefit, because if the woman is wrong, I'm going to tell her that she's wrong, you know. So don't feel like I'm, you know, counting you guys out, fellas, because I'm not.
I love that, but I think it's this accountability
It
piece,
is.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that we and I'll put myself out there as a woman had a really hard time doing, which was accepting the responsibility that I was allowing everybody to trumble over me, to take the things from me, right? To not make the space. I always had an excuse. Well, my kids need this, and this person needs this, and I've got to take care of this. And it's like, when did that become our to-do list, right? I do think that it's a kind of a societal thing. I think it's an untalked
Absolutely.
about, unwritten script that we follow. And I think that sometimes a lot of that is because of the way that we were brought up, things that we
Yep.
have been through, and stuff like that. So, yes, I agree wholeheartedly that like it is our responsibility. I had to speak up to my husband and be like, there's just nights where like I want to shower by myself. Don't come talk to me. Leave me
Yep.
alone. I want to
Right.
sit in there and enjoy it for 20, 25 minutes, right? And I think what I find really interesting, and this is toward my guys. So as a mom of two boys and my husband as well,
Yeah.
I have a lot of guys that are
And
always in the household,
I am
including
definitely
their
a boy
friends.
mom. I'm definitely a boy mom. So
Right. And it's really interesting how we differ in the ways that they think of doing things, right? Like, so for instance, if my son needs downtime, he'll just be like, hey, I'm gonna go upstairs and play my video game. I just want some peace. And he
right.
goes and does it, right? But it's
Yep.
like us as women, we're like, well, is everybody taken care of? Because I need to go
Exactly.
do this. Can I go do this? And
Yep.
people are like, I think that that's where the disconnection is because
It
guys are like, just go do it. I don't
is.
get it. Like,
Yep.
my husband and I have had this conversation so many times, and he's like, then just go do it. And I'm like,
But
yes,
yep.
yes,
But
and
yep.
I've told him before that like, yes, I should go do it, right? And I want you to understand like the way that I think, not saying that it's right, but like I want you to be in my brain so you understand. For me, it's like, but am I not spending enough time with him? If I'm not spending enough time
Yep.
with him, is he going to be upset? And he's like, absolutely not. So for us, it's been really great to have really open communication. And I tell him, like, I don't need you to fix this, but I want to tell you where my brain goes when you say
Mhm.
that so that you better understand why I'm saying it. And maybe you can say things a little bit different, or maybe you can say, I got this, just go do it. Right. I'm like, I think that sometimes we need that, but we, we are on different ranges of communication, right?
I
Where women are like, I don't want to hit your feelings. I want to make
yep.
sure you love me. And guys are
Right.
like,
Oh, girl. And it does boil back to what you said, societal expectations. That is something that, excuse me, we were raised to believe, and we've seen it happening. So because we've seen it happening, it's automatically a default for us to say this is exactly how we're supposed to do. I
mm,
cannot tell you the amount of conversations that I've had where women are like, well, once my child graduates here, or once they get done with this, or once football season is over, then I'll focus on this.
yeah,
Sometimes we don't get that time, right? And there comes a time where you have to get out of the season of default and get into the season of discipline. And disciplines means you've got to reprioritize some things. You've got to recondition your mind so you can stop making yourself feel bad about doing the things that are really extending your quality of life. Because at the end of the day, you want to be that for everybody. But if you're not taking care of yourself, who's going to do it when you're gone? And yep, it may be harsh, but it's the reality. I literally have watched people talk about how the stress has really caused them to be able to not move. We know that
Mm-hmm.
there are some, statistical analytics showing it can lead to heart attacks, strokes, things like that. I
Yeah.
don't even have to look at numbers to know that that is something that is very real out here. So when it comes to, and especially as we're getting older, y'all, I will be 50 in June, right? So I know that the things that I did 10 and 15 years ago, if I still kept trying to do those things, who knows what would have happened to me by now. I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that we have to sacrifice ourselves just to be great moms, great wives, great daughters, great friends. And I am here to break that stigma because that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. And I love that you said this, getting out of the season of default and into the season of
Discipline, baby.
discipline. Oh, so I love that, because I think that we look at those words, especially discipline, right? And we have like this negative connotation with it. And it's like it doesn't have to mean what you think it means. It's just it's a self-respect
That
is where it comes across, right? And if we're respecting everyone else and we don't respect ourselves, then there's a complete and total disconnect. And I've seen it too, that like, and I think this is wonderful, especially for parents, or people that are around young children. When you self-respect yourself and you show that and other people are seeing that, they're going to emulate that, right? My
absolutely.
my boys, I saw a shift in them more when I started shifting my perspective with the way I handled situations, with the way that I talked to them, with the way that I didn't raise my voice or I would get quiet if they were starting to get loud. And it was really interesting that you could tell it kind of like took them back, but their nervous system was taking all that information in and
Mhm.
deciding what to do with it. So it's like, we always talk about, well, do as I say and not as I do. And I
Oh,
realize, as a parent who parented my children that way for a really long time, I saw more change in my children when I started parenting them in a way that I loved myself as much as I loved them. And not to say that I'm perfect. I believe me, I
oh
still
yeah,
have
for sure.
issues. I still have down days. My husband and I were just having a conversation on how I want to go work out 4 days a week, but that's not his thing,
Yeah,
And he's like, then just go do it. And I'm like, I know, but I feel bad because I'm going to wake you up when I get up early, and then you're going to
right.
have to go back to sleep. And he's like, so,
So what?
um, isn't it interesting how we get so in our brains of like what the
It
other person
is.
is going to think,
Yes, it
which
is.
I find so interesting. But I think it's more of like we want to be loved and cared for. And we want to make sure that people know that we love and care them so
Mhm.
much that we feel like we have to go like the extra, 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 extra
Yes,
mile to make sure that
always,
that's done instead of
every
just
day.
openly communicating.
Yep. And that's another thing, we don't communicate enough. Or we hear, how many times have you heard, well, you should just know, just because you've been
Hmm.
with someone, or you should just know. Why? If the conversation has never happened, why should I just know? Or why should he just know? Or why should anyone just know? We get so caught up in those things. And I feel like that's the problem. There's nothing wrong with communication. That doesn't always mean communication is going to be all jovial and sweet and nice and beautiful. That doesn't mean that. There are
Yeah.
times where you're going to have conflict. That's a part of growth. If you're with someone, especially
Hmm.
for a long period of time, you're growing together. So there are going to be those conflicts. Now, where the negativity and the toxicity comes into play is that's where, the situations become way more out of control than they should be. But there should be some form of conflict. And I just don't think we talk about that enough. We try to act
Hmm.
like relationships should be perfect. Let me tell you something. The way this brain is, I have a very overactive brain. So I'm constantly thinking about, well, what if I do this? Especially from a personal perspective, but also running two businesses. I'm always thinking about, okay, well, I can do this. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up and be like, oh, yeah, I need to do that. Right. But I have also had to train myself over the last 5 years to say, you know what, put it on a piece of paper and you'll get to it. Because I used to just act off emotion and
Hmm.
act right then and there. But now I don't. I'm like, okay, if it's something that can get done later, the power of the pause. I'm big on that as well, especially when it comes to communication and conflict. I will pause because I don't want to say anything that could be offensive. I don't want anything said to me that could be offensive. And I also want to tell people too, it's definitely your circle as well, because being able to have healthy conflict is also the environment that you're in as well. So if you're in
Mm,
environments where, you know, it's nothing but negativity and toxicity and things like that, that's probably what you're going to get. And there's no growth there. So you got to just really be mindful of the spaces you're in, the people that you're talking to. And I'm talking about family and friends too, because y'all, I made some sacrifices when it came to this journey. 2020 was a breaking year for me, but it also was a breakthrough year because that was the year that I decided that it was time to recondition my entire life, how I thought, what I thought about, realigning my value systems, my beliefs, all of those things. Just because I was raised this way doesn't mean I still had to be that way. And that really changed the trajectory of my entire life. Had you asked me in 2019 if I'd be an entrepreneur, I probably would have laughed at you. I was working in corporate America. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many things that you just really deciding that it's time to like realign your life and really figure out what it is that you want is going to shift for you. And as someone with a boy mom, I'm a boy mom as well. I have my son, but then I also raised my sister's two children when she passed away. They were 9 and 16 at the time. So my son was 16 and my nephew was 16. My youngest one was 9. I went from a mother of one to a mother of 3 boys. And it's like, whoo, wait a minute. And I would not change a thing. But having a house full of boys, it's like I gotta figure out, you know, what that looks like. But the one thing that I know I did right, even dealing with the traumas and trials and tribulations of my life back then, is I made sure that we had communication. Every Sunday we would sit down, talk about things that may have been going on in their life. I'd tell them a little bit about what was going on with me, and really just making sure that they knew that I was there to support them, especially my nephews, because they lost their mom. So I wanted to just let them know that I'm there for them. And to this day, they continuously thank me for that. And our relationships are amazing. But let me tell you, being a mom to 3 boys literally like overnight, I don't know how I did it,
oh
y'all.
my goodness. Especially in teenagers.
Oh,
That's
okay.
another level.
That
I love
part.
my boys. I love
Yeah.
my boys. I do. But they're very different. And
Yeah.
so, even when I was raising mine as a single mom, like I really had to learn how they thought and how they process things, right? Because it is very different than we as women do. We as women are trained to be very hypervigilant and aware
Yes.
and, all these things. And guys aren't necessarily taught that. They're kind of like they're in their own world, they're doing their thing, and they're like, wait, what? What do you need?
Right.
So it's like you have to teach them to have more of that open space and be a little bit more aware and stuff. A perfect example is because I talk with my kids all the time as well. My oldest one, he was like, "What do you got going on this week?" And I was like, "Man, Thursday is going to be insane." I got your brother's award ceremony in the morning. I've got a panel discussion at the university. I was like, "I'm going to a ribbon cutting after that." I was like, "I'll probably be gone from like 8:30 to like probably 7 that
Mhm.
night." And he was like, "Oh man, he's like, that's cool." And I was like, "Yeah." And I just kind of left it alone.
Yeah.
But he was listening to me. He wasn't on his phone. He wasn't on his video games. He was turned around talking to me. And I had like a 20-minute window from in between the award ceremony to come home and pee in my house.
Right.
And I was going to let the dog out. And then off to the panel I went. And I got home and he was like, "I thought you were going to be gone all day." I was like, "Well, I had a little window, so I'm coming here. I wanted to let the dog out." He was like, "I already let him out." I was like,
Mhm.
"What?" He's like, "Yeah, you said you're going to be gone all day. I let him out. I already took care of that." And it
Yep.
was like, I
So
love
many
that
things to
you
process behind that, yo. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like we have to teach that, and be aware of that, but also understanding that we as species think a little bit different. There's not anything wrong with that, but
Yeah.
like you said, it's that communication. So I want to kind of go back because you were talking about how like 2020 was the year
Mhm.
that broke you and opened you. You said that was the year that you were no longer a people pleaser, like you decided. So I want to kind of go back to this because I'm guessing that this is kind of the realm where you were like, I'm also going to take this entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Walk me through this. How did we get to this? What
Ooh.
was your breaking point? Like,
Oh my God. So I think that I spent like I said, the years of just suppressing emotions, right? And I know we do that. But I think March of 2020, with the uncertainty of COVID at that time, I think that was really kind of the straw that kind of broke the back of me doing everything that I was doing and walking in unalignment. I was tired. I was tired of doing for everybody else. I wasn't able to get that back from anybody. When I did ask for help, nobody was available for me. And I think mentally, I was tired. I really realized because the only emotion that I was actually showing was anger all the time. Somebody would ask me something, I'm cussing them out, like literally cussing them out. But guess what? I'm doing it while I'm cussing them out. And I think
Mm-hmm.
March was just the moment I really started having like bad thoughts, meaning like I was ready to cause harm. And those weren't normal thoughts for me. So to me, it was like, this is not right, Kisha. You're kind of at a dangerous stage, and it's time to do something about it. So I had to say, you know what? It's time to take my life back. I wrote a group text to my family and I told them right now, I have to step back because I'm really going to cause harm either to myself or somebody else. I ended up taking a 30-day fast from social media at a time where that was all we could do. We were put on lockdown.
Yeah.
So, and I started journaling literally every day. Every day I had a book and I wrote it. And I actually ended up having a Chromebook at that time. And I started typing every day just my thoughts and how I was tired of this and how could be so much better if I just started taking action. And I did that for 30 days. Day 25 was the day that I actually thought of my business name, which is Upgraded MindsetZ, because that's literally what I was doing in real time. Upgrading my mind, shifting my beliefs, reconsidering how I looked at things, how I looked at society and things like that. And that really prompted me to say, you know what, I want to help women do the same thing that I'm doing right now. Now, I actually made Upgraded Mindsets official in June of 2020. But I was like, I'm gonna do this part time, no full time thing because I'm still working full time in corporate America. And
Mm-hmm.
in November of 2020, I was actually let go from my corporate job of 7 years.
Oh, wow.
But let me tell you the spin on that. 2 weeks before I was let go, the building that I'm actually in right now with my hub, I actually had got the keys to that building with two of my founding business partners. So at that time, I still was like, we'll just have the building. We're going to, do this and that. But I was literally fired. And 2 months before that, Kat, I had been a victim of identity theft. Somebody had tried to use my name and information with unemployment. So when I tell you
Mm.
now that I'm fired, now that I have to jump through hoops for 6 months because we're on lockdown, so there's no unemployment offices open. I've got to do everything online. 6 months it took me to finally get everything approved to receive unemployment. So 6 months I literally went without income. And I ain't gonna sugarcoat it, y'all. I was not that person that had a years of savings already added up. And I didn't have cushions, but I had my belief of this was meant for me. This is what I'm supposed to go through because this is the experiences that I see so many of us dealing with. Now, I didn't know that 100% at the time, but looking back, I had to go through those things to be able to be the person that I am today to help women really shift those things because it's uncomfortable as hell. Okay. It's very uncomfortable. So when I say 2020 was that breaking, but also breakthrough year for me, all of those things happened in 2020 and literally in an 8 month period. So from March to November, I had a complete life transformation. And I became a lifelong learner behind that. I became open minded because how many of us as women will say, that's how I am. I'm just like that. That's just me. That's how I
Mm.
am. I don't say that anymore because I'm always open to listening. I'm always open to having my mind change because if you show me things can be different, then I can definitely ride with that. But before I would argue you up and down, I'm right. You're wrong. I don't care. I don't care that you got numbers to prove that I'm still right. Like I used to be that person. So 2020 was literally that year for me, and it has just been nonstop ever since. I've definitely made some pivots with the business, but upgraded mindsets really saved my life.
I love that. I love that, it's such a personal story as well. And I think that for me, of all the people that I've interviewed and worked with and been a part of, it's the ones that have lived the things that are now teaching others that like we feel it to our core,
Yes.
right? It's not that we're just teaching on. It's not just we're like, oh, I learned this stuff and I was fascinated by this
Right.
book or whatever. It's like, no, honey, I have been in the mud. I have been in the
That
thick
part.
of it, right? And I can help you get through it if you are willing to take the
Yes. You are.
responsibility.
Yep. And that
That's
accountability, and stop making the excuses. We make excuses because we're wise and we're moms. Well, I can't do it right now because, I've got
hmm
this, like you said, oh, I've got a full day, I've got X, Y, and Z. But if you are able to really shift how you think, be able to open your communication, exactly what happened with you when you went home and Sun had already took the dog out, like those are the type of things that will happen around you because you're being open-minded, you're being open in communication, and they really want to see you win because my boys love me. They are so proud of me. They tell me all the time. They send me text messages just telling me how
Aw.
proud of me they am, and they're 32 and finna be 26 now. So to be able to still have that relationship with them and know that they really do, they're proud of me, like that means everything to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that so much because it's not only growth with you, but you're teaching the next generation, right, to be that growth minded. I love that, you said that you don't use the terms of like this is who I am, this is how I am kind of a thing. I that's one of the things that I feel like I really used to say
Yeah.
years
So,
ago, and it's not even a phrase that comes up anymore, right? Unless it's like, oh my gosh, you're so goofy and I love how authentic you are.
right,
And I'm like, yeah,
right.
that is exactly who
Yeah.
I am.
Our
Like that I have
characteristics.
been
Yes.
yeah, I have been craving to be this person for years. And because I was the strong one, because I was the doer, because I was the people pleaser, I didn't get to be
Yep.
that part of me. And it's exhausting. Like
Yeah.
it's so exhausting.
Very.
And then we're like, oh no, it's just burnout. It's just that. It's like, no,
No,
your
it's
body
deeper
is
than that.
tired of you putting
Exactly.
on the mask for everyone else, right?
Yeah.
I saw a clip one time that I loved. It was Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey was doing this interview, and he said, when I started having really, really bad depression, he said, I realized that depression was there to teach me to take all of the masks off and
Mm.
stop suppressing who I was. And I thought, oh my gosh.
Hey, that would have like if I'd have heard that, I'd have been like, oh my God, I probably would have cried because it's facts. That's what it is. Suppressing like makes us just kind of numb to things that we really shouldn't be. And
hmm
before the journey of transformation for me, like I said, I identify with anger, but now I identify with all my emotions. Who's to say
hmm
I might drop a tear here now, but you wouldn't catch me crying before. I'm that strong person. I ain't gonna cry.
Yeah.
You won't catch me doing anything. But now I am such a like a mush bucket. But I still have that characteristics. Like I'm definitely still gonna talk a little smack. I love playing cards and I am a smack talker on the card table. Like I'm still that person. So I love that you even said that too, because it doesn't mean that we are taken away from the characteristics that do make us whole. So I'm definitely still that person.
hmm
I'm definitely gonna talk smack to you all day. So don't think that I won't.
I love it. No, I do. I love it because
Yeah.
like I think that we get molded and shaped to be the
Yes.
person to fit into the job or the
Yep.
family life, or like you said earlier, your circle, your family, your friends. We want community. Even my introverts that like to be alone.
Right.
It's been scientifically proven we are community by nature,
Mhm.
and we want to be liked, and so sometimes we shift things or we laugh at something we don't necessarily agree with,
Yep.
and it's things like that that I've realized that I used to do that I'm like every time that I do that I'm actually being dishonest with myself, but also it's not helpful for the person on the other side, because here they
Right.
think that they've got a great friend and this person they can talk to and blah 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 blah, while they come into a conversation and feel happy and whole and walk away and they're like, that was so awesome. You walk away and you go, God, I wish we didn't have to talk about that. I wish
Yes.
they quit bringing this up. So
Yep.
instead of you going away feeling better about it, you're taking all the burden home because you weren't just honest. And that's hard in family dynamics,
Absolutely.
especially, and in friendships as well, right? Because
That
we have
we
been
talk
taught
about
to be,
friendships.
yeah, and we've been taught to be cordial and respectful. And it's like, yes, and
Yep.
I still think that we need to be honest with ourselves first. And
Yep.
that means being around people that are able to accept that, right? I can be friends with anyone and not have the exact same belief system and not agree with every single
Yep.
thing that they say. That's totally fine. That's the thing about us being different.
Absolutely.
And if you can't come forward and someone makes a comment and you're like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with that one, right? Then that's probably not a friendship you should be in,
That
right? It's
part.
not doing your soul good. You're tearing pieces out and you keep going to it. My husband and I had this conversation because we kind of segmented ourselves for a little while, and we're
Mhm.
like, we want people that are fulfilling, that we can be open with, that we can talk about things with. And if we don't agree with something, I could be like, hey, I get that that's funny, and
Right.
generally I would laugh at that, but not anymore,
Yeah.
right? And being able to have those conversations. But again, it comes back to that piece of communication, right? Which again, not a lot of us are taught, or
Not,
we're not
not.
taught to radically accept our responsibility for the things that we said. And I think that I have enjoyed, especially over the last few years, getting to be around people that are more in that space, right? Where they are accepting and they stand with for who they are.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I don't want
A
someone to
lot.
like every single thing,
Hey, let
right?
me tell you,
Like,
let me tell you, I have sacrificed friendships on this journey. In 2020, in my journal, which I actually turned into my book, which is my Amazon bestseller, From Havoc to Healing 30 Days of Reconditioning. In day 5 of that, I literally talked about I knew this journey was going to cause me to lose some people. When I tell
mm,
you that I have lost 2 long-term friendships on this journey, one was, I kind of say a little mutual. We just kind of drifted apart. But the other one, I didn't really expect that one. And I had to grieve that friendship, losing that friendship. But I also realized that I was a people pleaser, trying to accommodate and using the word loyalty to, say, oh, well, that's my friend because I'm loyal to that friend. But loyalty doesn't
hmm
mean draining myself to where I'm doing so much for everybody else. When I get home at night, I am exhausted and I have done nothing for me. And that was like an everyday occurrence. But I also had a conversation when I was told that they didn't want me to be their coach. They just wanted me to be their friend. I wasn't trying to be a coach. I was being your friend, but I'm in the process, I'm in the season of shifting. So what is happening is this season of shifting is causing me to have different conversations, talk about
hmm
different things, but also trying to motivate you to come with me, because how many of us will try to bring people with us? We try to drag them along when they're not ready. And that's one of the realities that I had to deal with, and letting that friendship go. There's no love lost, secrets are still safe with me, that type of stuff. But I really enjoy the tribes that I have built, as a business owner, but also as a woman. I have really got people aligned with me that I can literally had a business meeting the other day where we had our coolers, and we were sitting here, but we had our pen and our notebooks and we were writing down ideas. We had a meeting for about 2.5 hours, but we also were able to laugh and talk and crack jokes and do all of that. I love that for me because
hmm
that's what keeps me thriving. And we've got to realize that outdated systems also involve environments. If those
mm,
systems are no longer working for you, if that environment is no longer aligning, like you're sitting in a space and you're in your brain, you're like, what the hell am I doing here? Right. And but it's something that you've done for so long. it's time to pivot. It's time to shift. And we've got to be honest with ourselves. Also, y'all, let me tell you, you got to be okay with how people feel about that, because everybody is not going to be happy for your pivoting. They're not going to be happy to see that you're growing, and you have to be okay with that. Otherwise, you're going to stay on the hamster wheel to nowhere just like them, and that's what they want. Everybody's not going to be happy for you, people, and it's the reality that I had to deal with, but I am very unapologetic and I have no regrets on how things have worked out in my life, because it has put me in position to be the powerhouse that I am today, because I am very confident in who I am, what I talk about, how I serve, and I don't care who don't like it. I don't.
No, I love that though, because we're not meant to be for everyone. And I think that that's a huge thing that for
Absolutely.
whatever reason we're taught or we crave. And you're not meant for everyone. There's
Nope.
8 billion what people that whatever on the planet. Like you're not
Come on.
meant for every single person.
Yeah.
It's and that's a hard thing to I think take in, is that we aren't meant for that. And you're talking about some people not accepting your growth and your transformation. And I immediately thought of, I think it was Mel Robbins that was interviewing someone, and I can't remember who it was.
Mhm.
But it was a psychologist that I know that was talking about how people create you as an identity in their head, right? Your
Woo.
family does this, your parents especially, but your friends, the people that you're around, they have you labeled as this identity, right?
Absolutely.
And then when you come in and you just rip it up in their face, you're basically putting a brand new individual in front of them. And they're like, yeah, but I don't want to meet someone new. I don't want to
That,
learn these new things. I already knew all this stuff. This was comfortable. This was easy.
yep.
And it's no fault, to them. It's just
Yep.
it's their space of life that they're in. But I think that that's a really hard thing for us to understand. And I think especially when we talk family,
Yeah.
especially when we talk family, right? Because for a lot of people that I've chatted with,
Mhm.
their mom or their dad had this vision of who they were and where they were going. And then when someone says, "Hey, I'm going to do the complete opposite," that individual, I mean, they love you, right? But they're like,
Yeah.
"Absolutely not. That's stupid. That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense." Because they're not understanding what it is you're wanting to become. They already have the version of you. They already know who you are. They got it
Yes.
figured out and they're comfortable with that.
Yep.
And that's something I think we have to be aware of as individuals as well, as we have people in our lives. Not everybody is meant to be there all the time. Some people are there for a season or
Yes.
a reason to teach you things. And I've had to learn that with my kids, right? Like one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I did was, as my kids got older, I didn't want to create the vision for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No fault to my family. I love my family,
Right.
but they
Right. For
grew up in
sure.
that space where
Absolutely.
we had a vision and they knew the direction they wanted me to go. And I thought I was following that path. And then when I got pregnant, I destroyed everything,
Mhm.
And so I want my boys to be able to feel like they can always evolve. And we have those conversations. And it's not like, oh, well, what are you going to be when you grow up? It's like, well, what do you
Right.
want to do now? What do you feel called to
Mhm.
do?
I
That
love
sounds
that.
cool. You could try that out. This could open up this for you and that for you. And what if you went this direction? I want them to feel that expansion because we continually, if we choose to, evolve into a different form of who we are our
Absolutely.
entire lifetime. Otherwise, it's boring.
Yeah.
Yes, it's comfortable, but it's boring,
Yeah.
And so I enjoy that. I enjoy getting to learn about the new versions of the people that I'm around as they're becoming that because I'm constantly being challenged and I get to be
Yes.
curious in who that individual is, which to me I think is a lot of fun now. I wouldn't have said that years ago. You would have never
Right.
caught me saying that. But I'm such a curious individual now. Like I call myself the question queen because I love
Ooh,
asking questions
I
to
love that.
understand and like, okay, but what does that mean? What does that look
Mhm.
like if you do that? I love that.
And you're able to do
And
that with the people that the growth people that you're around. Because the people that are
mm,
stuck, they're going to get offended when you're asking them the questions. Well, what does that mean? What do you
absolutely.
mean? Like, oh my God, you're asking too many questions. People say that. Like people say that all the
Yeah.
time. Oh my God, you're doing too much. No, I'm not. You're not doing enough. Like your brain is craving more, and yet and still you will default to what you know because that's your comfort zone.
Hmm.
Comfort zone is not supposed to stay a comfort zone. You're always supposed to be stepping out and getting uncomfortable and challenging yourself. I love that you use the word challenging yourself, because I feel like if a lot more of us do that, we would see so many things change in our society,
Oh, absolutely.
as a collective,
Hmm.
but because we were raised, well, my grandma always told me this and my mom raised me to do this. Nobody's saying that you can't incorporate some of the values that you were raised with. But if you're not taking time to evaluate if they're still aligned with who you want to become, then you are doing yourself a disservice. Values
Hmm.
and systems change all the time. You should be evaluating that. It may still be the same. You may still feel that sense of fulfillment. But what I will find is people will sit up here and go to their deathbed and be like, I never got a chance to do ABC through Z. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
we never, oh, well, I always had to be this and I always had to make sure this. We've got to break that way of thinking and believing. It's just something that we've got to do. And it's going to require a lot of hard work, y'all, but it's something that we just need to do for ourselves. And if you don't want to do it for humanity and mankind, do it for you. So when you are on that deathbed, you can say, I was able to say I lived a satisfying and fulfilling life, whether that's traveling more, whether it is going to get your nails done more, your hair done more, saying no to more things, whatever that is, you've got to just take the time to figure that out. And I just want us to be more intentional in doing that.
Absolutely. And I want to touch base on talking about challenging ourselves. And then I really want to talk about values. I want your opinion on this. So when you were talking about, us challenging ourselves, and we've been kind of chatting about this, one of the things that's really helped me is I keep going back to when I was a kid. When we
Mm-hmm.
were young, we were always challenged. We were challenged in learning how to walk. We were challenged when we learned how to run. We were challenged to learn how to ride a bike, to swim, to water ski, whatever it is that you did. You were constantly being challenged in your life, which gave you the knowledge and the information and let you know the direction that you wanted to go. When you got your first job, you were challenged because you didn't know what that meant.
There
Every
it
time
is.
you've Every time you've made a job switch or taken a different title, that's a challenge to
Yes.
get into that space. So I don't understand. And again, I was this person, but I don't understand why we get into this hole of once we reach a certain age and become an adult, we're not supposed to challenge ourselves anymore. You're supposed to get comfortable. You're supposed to be in this space and you're supposed to stay. And I realized that I learned so much as a kid and as a teenager by being in these spaces and doing new things. And you get excited and you get upset and all this stuff. And it's like, if we can learn to go back to that it's okay to be childlike and challenge yourself and try something and then be like, absolutely not doing that again. Like that is what we need in our lives. And I think that's why a lot of us feel so stagnated and not fulfilled because for whatever reason, we decided one day and we just cut it off,
Yep.
But that brings me to values. And you've talked about this a couple times. And so I want to chat about this for a couple minutes before we close, which is the importance of your own values,
Mm-hmm.
right? I talk about this. What does a value mean to you, and how do we learn or start to figure that out? Because right, a lot of our values come from our upbringing or what we saw or what we didn't want to see, and that becomes a piece of us. But I do believe that our values can change and can shift as we grow. So I want you to kind of chat about this for a second because I think this is so important.
Absolutely. I do. We default to, again, just because we were raised a certain way, that's how we're always supposed to be. Let's talk about religion, for example, right? A lot of people that I grew up around grew up as Christians, and that's totally fine. But if that's something that you struggle with, and you're going to church but you don't feel a sense of fulfillment when you walk into a Christian church, you are literally struggling to get up and go into that church. You are struggling trying to figure out if that's for you. Like, those are when it's time to evaluate if those beliefs and values are still aligned with you. Nobody's saying that you don't believe in God anymore, but it could be the way that you are supposed to study things, the way that you are supposed to look things. You owe yourself. I really like how you touched on the fact that, like, starting a new job, right? It kind of goes back to that. you start a new job like it's nothing. Do you have a degree in the qualifications of that job? Yes, but you still are walking in to learn something new. It's the same thing with your value systems. You've got to evaluate and say, okay, what does this feel like for me? What are my values at this point? And you've got to take a chance and explore that, because sometimes we won't, because we're afraid of outside opinion, we're afraid of what other people are going to say, because we want to
Mm-hmm.
explore other things. You've got to become unapologetic, and that's like one of my favorite words. I'm really surprised that I ain't said it enough on here, but that's one of my favorite words, is being unapologetic in figuring out what your values are. I really had to figure out that my values are somebody who is just really does not care what other people think. Really understanding that my systems may not be the best for everybody, and that's okay. But when it comes to you really figuring that out, you've got to have a conversation with yourself, right? A lot of times we will try to avoid that. We don't want to have that. When my clients come on, one of the onboarding things that we do, write a letter to self. Write a letter to yourself. And I
Mm.
did that for me. I started from present and went back, instead of starting from the past to go forward. And that letter turned out to be 6 pages. But it also was a breakthrough for me, because it was like, okay, these are the things that I used to do, but even talking about it make me mad. Right? I can't stand even thinking about it. So guess what? Those are no longer systems and values that I like or want to honor. So we're going to get rid of those. But one thing that you've got to do is be able to replace, because sometimes we will say we're going to stop doing stuff, but you've got to be able to replace it. The value, the
Mm.
habits, the systems. Don't leave it abandoned. If you're someone who wants to quit smoking cigarettes, you better come up with another habit, because you just saying you're going to quit. If there's nothing to replace that, you're going to revert right back, because your body and your brain is used to having habits. So I encourage you to write a letter to yourself. What worked for you? What worked back then? What have you grown out of? Be okay with what that looks like. Nobody's got to see that letter. I don't even tell my clients, they don't got to show me, but 90% of them do. I just encourage you getting honest with yourself, because even the values back then, just because you were raised on them doesn't mean you even were 100% belief in them then. But because you were a child, you didn't feel like you had a voice. And we didn't a lot of times. I was in that generation where you better not say nothing to an elder or you being disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a very rebellious child. But I realized I was rebellious because I always had questions. And you're going to tell me, I love you said it earlier, do as I say, not as I do. I was told that so much, because I'm like, well, why you get to do it? That
Yep.
me. You know what I'm saying? So be okay with being honest with yourself, people. It's time to be honest with ourselves. We're living in times where you can't do nothing but be honest with yourself, because you need to be mentally healthy to be able to overcome the things that we are facing, whatever side of whatever that you're on. You've got to be mentally healthy enough to overcome all of that. So write a letter to yourself. Get honest with yourself, people. It's really time for us to do that. And whatever that looks like, be okay with accepting that, because that's who you are for real, for real. And it's time to stop hiding that.
For real, for real. I love
For
that.
real, for real.
And I think it is. I think that we do need to be honest with ourselves. And I'm going to add to your challenge. When you are deciding to do this, or when you decide to have this conversation, it needs to be with you, not AI. Because
Mm.
AI is not there to
Tell
challenge
them,
you.
please.
AI is not there to give you anything
No,
bad. It's going to give you positive feedback, positive reinforcement.
all
That is
the
what it is
time.
meant to do. And then we
And you,
wonder why we can't
yep,
have conversation, and why we can't communicate, and why we can't have a conflict,
yes,
because we
ma'am.
have these things that are like, that sounds like a great idea.
You're not being honest with yourself with AI, people. Stop it.
Absolutely.
Use it for the tool that it is, but don't use it to help you change your life like that. Get honest with
Hmm.
yourself. You know how to write on a pen and paper. Do it.
Yeah. Just wanted to add that in there.
And you should. Thank you.
I do. I love AI for what it's good for, but it is
Absolutely.
interesting even when I use it and ask questions and it'll give me stuff and I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't like that.
No.
So it's not meant to challenge you. That's not what they are built for.
Mhm.
So just be aware of that. Keisha, I love you so much. I could talk
Oh,
to you for hours.
thank you.
As we are coming to a close, one, where can everybody find you? How can they connect with you? How can they be in your world?
Absolutely. So I am on all socials at Coach K Transforms. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find me under that. You can also visit my website if you want to learn more about what I offer. Check out the podcast and all that good stuff, which is Upgraded Mindsets with the Z.life. You can schedule free consultations. I am always open to connecting. I'm always looking for guests for the podcast. So you can definitely reach out to me on my website. That's the best way to reach me. But I'm always open to connecting and really learning about others, but also showing and helping people in their journey as well. So
Woo! I love it so much. And of course, we'll make sure we have all that information in the show notes. We'll make it super easy for you to find and connect with Kisha. And do you have any last words? Is there anything you would like to leave the audience with today?
be your unapologetic self. Do whatever it takes to get to that point. Understand it's not an overnight switch, but it is a journey that is so necessary. You're tired of shrinking. It's time to uplift, empower, and elevate yourself. And you have the power in you. So I just want to see you make it happen.
Oh, I love it so much. Mic drop. I love being unapologetic, as I was the person that apologized to everything for everything
Absolutely.
about everything for years. My husband still gets on to me. He's like, "Really? Why are you apologizing?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's just force of
Yep.
habit. I'm not sorry. Never
Get
mind.
it.
I take it
I
back."
get it. I get it. Trust me.
Thank you so much, Kisha, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing
Oh,
your story, for being very real and honest with
thank
everyone. I thank you so much for that.
I
Um,
appreciate you, Pat.
Yeah, to everybody else that's out there, I know that you took some things in here, whether it was harsh or it hit you weird or it made you uncomfortable, good. That is what we are here to do. We're not here to make you feel light and fluffy. We
Come on.
want you to challenge yourself. We want you to be able to grow, to be who it is that you want to be. Drop the stigmas, get rid of what everybody else sees you as, and see yourself for who you truly are. So I'm going to challenge everyone to find 2 things this week that you can challenge yourself on. I don't care if it's I got to reach out to this person or I need to tell this person no. Start challenge yourself even in the tiniest ways so that you can start building that muscle up and start saying no and be unapologetic, as Kisha said, in your life. So until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference that it makes for you. Catch you later.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Chat with Kat today, where real stories meet real solutions. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, and share this with someone who may also need to hear this as well. Let's also keep the conversation going. Follow me on socials at The Lotus Effect, connect with our incredible guests, and remember, you are never alone. Your story matters, and you have the ability and the power to rewrite it. You always have a choice. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep showing up as the incredible, unstoppable